So, you know, when we come through, Miss Jones, Miss Morrison, when we come through your rooms, we're up in our phones because we're doing an instructional round. And that's what we're going to be doing as a building, so we can talk about the practices and learn from them and become better at our practices, right? So today you've got a printout of what these instructional procedures that we're looking for, not really procedures, I guess they're just elements of what, it's all based on probably Marzano and the high reliability schools. So we're looking at these things to determine best practice in a classroom. So you can see where we have to fill out the teacher's name, the grade, the content area, and that stage of where that lesson is at, right? So the first thing we have to say, you know, we're only in there, supposed to be in there probably around 5 minutes. So you're not gonna see everything. So it's not like a big gotcha. It's, you know, I mean, where it is where we're at. So the first thing you'll see is instructional materials are aligned, cognitive demanding, and reflect grade level expectations. And I'm gonna tell you, sometimes that's kind of hard because you have teachers that do not post their standards, or their standard isn't the standard that you're seeing, right? And you will see us always, of course, on this third one, it says students understand and can articulate what they're learning and how it will be useful. So there's 2 parts to that. And they don't have to spell out the whole standard. In kindergarten, they could probably go right there, but they've got to be able to kind of explain how it's going to help them in the future. Gotcha. So just realize that. And sometimes it's hard when you have people from different backgrounds coming into your room. Right. They may not understand that something that's cognitive demanding or rigorous in kindergarten is that, right, actually, because they're thinking about what it would look in an upper grade level a little more and not considering what the standard truly is. So it's just observed or not observed. Students are engaged in grade level with appropriate supports and scaffolding. So what would you expect to see for supports and scaffolding in kindergarten? What should we, as people walking through, what would we expect to see if we're doing math, for instance?
I think one of the things that we should expect to see, the major thing I use for since it's support and scaffolding would be the gradual release.
Okay.
I want to model it, and maybe if it's something that is really hard to understand, I may model it for a couple of days. I'm still doing the word problems. I let the kids do the word problems, but every time we're through, I give them their pencil and we go back and I'm like, did you do this? Well, do it. I want you, you know, and all the way down to the number sentence. That's the part that gives them the problem, is writing that number sentence. And do I use a minus or a plus? And does the equal come first? So I'm still, even though we've been at it for a week, probably more, I still model every day how you read the problem. What do you need to circle? Where do you put this after you circle it? What's important? What
so you're guiding them too. You're not just telling them you do this, what I'm hearing you say. At some point you're like asking them to supply that information.
And then there's some things that we've done for a long time. I don't need to do any modeling. I don't model anymore. And we don't do it together anymore. I'm like, one of the things is, but I do go back at least twice a week and do it together.
Right.
Is the number of the day, where everything is number sense down there. You know, what's the number? What is 10 plus? What's 10 minus? What does it look like in 10 frames? What does it look like with 10s and 1s? And
so that's about more building fluency?
Yes, but I don't have, I scaffolded it for a long time.
Right.
And I've gotten to where now I don't.
Okay,
I'm like, you know how to do this, here's the number.
right.
If you come across one you don't remember, ask a neighbor. If they don't know, come to me.
So the other thing we're looking for, of course, are the hands-on, anything hands-on,
Yes.
or any way, like you're talking about tapping and counting
Right.
words. That's
Using
what we are looking for.
blocks.
Yes. So flip over to the back and let's look at effective feedback. Because this is a whole other area, and I'm gonna let you read those 3 items.
I think that students check their work against clear criteria is part of that modeling that I'm still doing on that stuff they don't know. Cause Rylan was, he was about to go berserk today. He's like, I don't know what to put in those 3 boxes. Well, we'd never had boxes before. We just had lines. And I'm like, Rylan, I've told you and everyone in there, you do what you think based on what else you see. Then bring your pencil to group because we're going to change it and make it right. And I think that's it's not taking their work to the board and go, oh yeah, I got all that right. Mine is, I don't know how to do this, so we're doing it together as a group. And I said, Rylan, what do you do now? Now's the part I need to hear it from you.
Right.
And he was able to go back in his head and say, well, the first number has to be the bigger one because it's 8, there was 8 kittens in the park and Tom took 2 home. How many kittens are still in the park? Of course, they're supposed to draw the picture, and I go through the whole thing. We've got 8 kittens, 2 of them left. Did you X them out?
Right.
And even things like you draw your 8. Now you have to check it. Go back, and on number 1, you put a 1 and circle it. The second cat, a 2 and circle it. And when you get to the end, you have 8. Now, 2 of them left. Don't cross out your first 2. Come down here, cross out number 8 and number 7, and then circle the next one. I said, that's going to help you. So when we got down here, and they said, hey, the answer we circled up there. And I said, that's right.
So you taught them a strategy to find it. All right, so what else is a clear criteria?
I feel like whenever you're using, we're doing our 5 blocks and we're laying them out and you're taking 2 away and how many's left, I feel like allowing students to attempt and telling them, hey, put out your 5 blocks, now take 2 away. And then they do it and then turn to the screen and you do it. Does yours look like mine? Yes or no? If it doesn't, what did you do? Let's fix it kind of situation. So I feel like in kindergarten, you can't hand them a rubric and say, here's what I expect.
But you would expect a rubric at some point
At
if we
some
were in
point,
an upper grade.
But not in kindergarten.
But you had already said, okay, to write this sentence, I have a 5-star.
Right.
So
That's a
that's
rubric.
That's a rubric. That's
I
a
guess
checklist.
that is a rubric.
It's a checklist.
When I think rubric, I think 1 to 5.
Yeah.
Here's what
Me too.
that looks like.
But a lot of our skills are either you do it or you don't.
Right.
You
gotta
you
be-
can't do a 1 to 5 on a period. Either
Right.
you have a period or
Or
you
you
don't.
don't.
And why would you think that specific, timely, and constructive feedback to extend learning?
Well, if you're walking by and a kid's got 5 circles, you said to X out 2, but they X'd out 3, saying, hey, let's check that. How many were we supposed to X out? 2. Okay, well, you have 3. Let's fix it. And here's why. And being able to explain it.
Right.
Just automatic corrective feedback, obviously.
One of the things I do for feedback that my kids have gotten where they love is putting it on that visual thing. I pick like 3, and at least one of them will be done where I can say, oh my gosh, this one is really, really good. And not actually saying this one is really, really good like the rest of them
Right.
aren't. But we can't, I said, how many things did Miss Jackson ask you to do? And there may be 3. Well, here's the first thing. Did he do it? Good. There's the second thing. Good. Third thing. Good. He's the only one that did all 3 things.
And I've started asking why.
Why?
Why? So if I say, we're doing number sentences, what number do we put first for our subtraction problem? And Kaylani every day, she's just begging. And I call on her, she's like, 5. I said, why? She said, because that's our whole number. So I feel like hearing it from a different kid is also like gonna, with the others who don't quite know what's going on, be like, oh, because it's the whole number, because it's our biggest number. So asking them why and having them explain. And obviously, you know, Bo's like 3. Well, why? Because we have 3 left. Okay, well, let's think about that kind of situation. So allowing them to express why they did what they did, and then correcting it or applauding them.
Right.
Also, extends the learning.
Exactly, that little positivity. Okay, so look at the next category, high student engagement. So they're looking at pacing, provides them time to process and be engaged. They're looking for individual learning, pairs, and groups, right? The majority of the students are active participants who are intellectually engaged in learning. Activities, assignment materials require students to work at a high level of rigor. And this is one where it gets a little tricky, and this is probably an area we probably need to study more on.
The third one?
Yeah. The students are having discussions relative to the objective. And then look, this is one where we are lagging, working cooperatively, groupings, okay, are appropriate, because we don't see a lot of group work except for a turn and talk.
Right.
And you know, that's why we had some of that Kagan stuff to help us think about how we can get kids to move and engage and work with partners. This level, a variety of questioning techniques is used to elicit thoughtful responses and or invite conversation. So tell me, what would that look like?
I mean, like I said before, why?
Asking why. What else?
What do you think? Just opinions? And you're gonna get a lot in kindergarten, a lot of different ones, but there's bound to be one right one that you can elaborate on.
So are you gonna use balloons? Okay, so
I think it would be important to do that.
are you going to be thoughtful of open and closed questions? Are you going to have another student think about what another kid and elaborate? Well, what do you think about what so-and-so said? Right? I mean, so that's kind of inviting.
Right.
Or tell me more to get more details or thoughts.
Or if you do turn and talk, what did your partner say?
Okay, so you're planning for these kinds of questions. It's not the first question that's hard. It's those second and third when you start trying to create that chain of questioning and have other kids share their thoughts. And is this always true? Wow, that's a question on a math problem. So just know it can be the use of sticks or some kind of Kagan engagement. All of that comes into play when it comes into questioning, okay? And then there's that physical movement to increase energy or focus, right? But when I look at that too, I'm thinking, is there learning involved? It's great to stand up and do a stretch and stuff. You might get someone giving you, yes, they did do that for a certain reason, and yes, that's great. But if you could put a little academic in it, that makes it even better. Disengaged students are redirected. I think we did a good job at that. And then this impactful technology. When we're seeing through the district the impactful technology, what we're noticing more of is that adaptive stuff. But you guys know that the true purposeful would be making their own creations, typing their own slide, those kind of things. Even in kindergarten, they may be able to do some of that. Flip camera. Somebody was saying that wasn't working. Making flip videos. Because that way they could share, the teacher wanted them to share how they got their math problem, so they could all watch it.
And I'd hate to interrupt, just let you know we have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right, so here we go. Last thing, this is where most people do well, unless your room has safety cords or, let's see, so much trash on the floor that it might be a dangerous situation. But If you notice, this is about promoting safety, physical. It could be the music being played and the atmosphere, kids and how they behave and act with one another. The other thing I want you to know is that next week, this is what we're going to be doing. This is for y'all. We're gonna be doing instructional rounds, where we're gonna start with Guiding Coalition teachers, and we're gonna go in and we're gonna observe them. So this is what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to get close to the action, capture details in our notes, and we're gonna do paper and pencil the first time. And we're gonna be writing what we see in here. We're gonna use these look fors, that's what those are, as our guide for note taking. We're gonna refrain from talking to the students like we did back in reading first, and we're gonna avoid being the teacher. You're gonna have to ask them, hey, what are you learning today? How's it gonna help you? But that's about it. Just be open-minded and avoid judging the teacher and presume positive intent.
When y'all come in, are we supposed to just pretend you're not there?
Yep.
Because I'm really bad about being like,
Yep.
hi,
That's
you
why-
may not
what do
be-
you need?
I
That's
told
why we
them
don't
when I
really-
didn't know that they were in for a walkthrough.
Right.
And
Because
then-
Joan pops in sometimes just to say like good morning, and
Right.
but other times she's walked in and been like,
It depends on where we're
and
at.
I'm just really bad about being like,
And
what's
so,
up?
once we get this, we're gonna come back, this is where we're gonna start next week, we're gonna come back and we're going to debrief where technically round one, we're gonna go in a circle and I'm gonna ask you what happened. You're gonna say, I heard, I saw, these are our
We're gonna
students.
do that, or y'all are gonna tell about us?
No, y'all are gonna be the ones doing it.
Could you take pictures of that?
So this is,
Send them to me. I love my phone.
then after we do that, we're gonna come back and say, well, what does that mean? I'm gonna say, what does that mean? And you're gonna say, because I saw student blah, 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 then it means the effect of this was round three, we're just gonna go in a circle. This is what we wondered, questions we have, and then I'm gonna ask for a takeaway.
Okay.
Because just like a doctor, that's what we're gonna be doing, because this is how we grow intellectually, thoughtful teaching, driving student instruction
Right.
forward. All right, high five. Did I gripe or complain?
no, not this time.
Perfect. I get to keep my beads.
Miss Terry, these were spicy and I didn't know it. Do you want them?
No.
I can't,
No. No, I don't eat spice.
I can't either.
Bye. Thank you for getting our tea. That makes me happy. You don't know how exciting that is.
Oh, that's not my pencil.
No. All right, do you think it stopped? Yes.